What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about Invincible Iron Man number 8 by Gerry Duggan and Juan Frigeri. If you are one of the people who was wondering exactly what is going to be the kickoff point for the wedding between the White Queen Emma Frost and Tony Stark, the Invincible Iron Man, I'm here to tell you that you're not going to get it in this issue, at least not in the way that you might think. The relationship, or rather lack thereof, between Tony Stark and Emma Frost is something that I feel a lot of people are going to harp on the most when it comes to why are they getting married. I've said this multiple times since the wedding of Tony Stark and Emma Frost was announced, even going back to some months before the Invincible Iron Man book was relaunched. I said this from the jump, that whatever happens between them, if there's any marriage to be had between them, it is not going to be a marriage of love. It is going to be a marriage of convenience. It is going to be a political wedding. It's going to be something that is done in order to serve the purposes of either party. Now, originally, I thought Tony might be booing up with Emma Frost because he needs money, and Emma Frost needs a break from all the bad press that the mutants have been getting as of late in the Marvel Comics universe. And while that could technically still be true in a lot of ways, Emma Frost is technically almost as broke as Tony now, or rather, not broke per se, but the Hellfire Trading Company isn't raking in the dough like it originally was, and Tony definitely doesn't have any money because he blew it all buying up all of the weapons of mass destruction across the entire Earth. The real reason this is happening is because as of the Hellfire Gala, Krakoa is completely gone, having been stolen away by Mother Righteous, and Tony no longer has Stark Unlimited. Right now, both Emma and Tony are kind of in a similar situation, if not for the fact that Emma is being hunted for very different reasons than Tony is. The thing that's of note here is that while Tony and Emma don't really have much of a relationship prior to their encounters in the previous year's Hellfire Gala, they've met a time or two, but they've never been bosom buddies or friendly towards one another in any meaningful way. Why would Emma Frost be interested in Tony Stark? Why would Tony be interested in Emma? And once again, everything here is going to be a marriage of convenience, but I do feel eventually will probably lead to some feelings down the road. But if there was anything that could help break the ice between them, it's when Iron Man, who just very recently has become the face of mutant oppression thanks to the Stark Tech Sentinels that are now plaguing mutant kind, you would think it would be very difficult for Emma to be able to compartmentalize having a romantic relationship with a person whose armor literally looks like the symbol of her oppression. But at the end of it all, Emma, like any other, I guess, forward-thinking person, she's not looking at the suit of armor that Tony is in, largely because she's in it right now. Mostly because Tony put it on her, and in another case where she's piloting his mind while he is in it. The idea here is that Tony has risked his life to save Emma Frost. And while you can think whatever you want about Emma Frost, she's not a person who's gonna easily forget that someone saved her life, especially in a moment where she's been depowered by the Stark Tech Sentinels' anti-mutant power dampening collars. This has very likely bought Tony some goodwill from Emma Frost, at the very least. When I was listening to the Cerebro podcast, which, by the way, if you've never checked it out, you should totally do that. I'll try to remember to put a link to this discussion that was had on that podcast with Gerry Duggan. So yeah, go check that out. But in that podcast, he talked about how his relationship with his parents is actually influential on the marriage of Tony Stark and Emma Frost. The idea of two people being married who don't get along very well and are kind of just sticking it out because they have to. It's a gross oversimplification of what Gerry Duggan said, but that is the Cliff Notes version of what he said. Another reason why Emma and Tony are going to be working together is specifically because of the Hellfire Trading Company, and more specifically, the Hellfire Club itself. Because there's a document that Wilson Fisk and Emma Frost are poring over when Iron Man encounters them in this issue. We don't know what the document is or what it pertains to. It's never explicitly stated what it could even be, but while Emma Frost is distracted with Tony, Wilson Fisk is signing his name on a dotted line and saying that it's done, you won't regret this, which is a very poor choice of words, or maybe even the right choice of words for Wilson Fisk, because she will, in fact, live to regret this. But what I'm wondering is if this is her signing over the Hellfire Trading Company to Wilson Fisk. Because as you know, right now, Wilson Fisk is a wanted criminal. He has no empire anymore. He's no longer the mayor of New York. And while he still has some money, he's probably looking for a way to get back on top. And getting back on top would be the Hellfire Trading Company. She could literally be signing this over to him so that way he can keep the Hellfire Trading Company alive and not have all of Emma Frost's good work and efforts go up in smoke. Especially with the recent death of Lord Chantel, who as of late was the head of the Hellfire Trading Company, but in the wake of her death at the Hellfire Gala, there needs to be new leadership. One way that Emma could help maintain some kind of control in the Hellfire Club as a whole is to keep someone on the inside who is close to whatever it is that is happening. Now, with Wilson Fisk very likely, maybe possibly having taken over control of the Hellfire Trading Company and the Hellfire Club itself, the one person who Emma's going to be able to reach out to help her in this regard is probably going to be Tony Stark. And the reason why is because his father, Howard Stark, had Hellfire Club ties. For those unfamiliar, back in the heyday, the Hellfire Club wasn't just some mutant exclusive club. It was originally a club for the world's elite, and specifically the human elite. Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost and Harry Leland, so on and so forth, they all came along after the fact. And Sebastian Shaw, when he realized what the Hellfire Club was putting their money behind, the fact that they were bankrolling the production of mutant hunting sentinels, that was when the Hellfire Club took a turn in a different direction, with Sebastian Shaw taking over leadership and looking out for mutant interest in a more active way, at least his own mutant interest. This is just the Hellfire Club going back to what it originally was if Wilson Fisk is indeed in charge of it, and considering his penchant for wearing white, something tells me he will set himself up as a White King, and it is stated that the next issue, that the title of it is Tony Stark, the Black King of the Hellfire Club. So if this title is in any way indicative of what will be happening, Tony Stark will be using his father's membership in the Hellfire Club, which is kind of one of those legacy deals, like all things that come from the elite. All you have to do is be born into it and you're automatically given a free pass in. This is probably going to be the case with the Hellfire Club in this regard, and this is how Tony will be able to enter into the Hellfire Club. This would help make a little more sense of the prophecy that Destiny gave in X-Men number 24, where she talked about kings clashing in white and black after the death of a Red Queen, which likely implies that Kate Pryde is gonna get sent to the Shadowcat realm very soon. All in all, while I do find the pairing of Tony Stark and Emma an odd one, it's one that I'm okay with. It actually works. Their characters are so snarky and flippant that they actually play off each other very well, because it's all about punching down against the other one, and in a roundabout way, it's kind of cute. What I do find more scary is that something so big as a Stark Tech Sentinel, a 30-foot tall automaton, is actually capable of being stealthy, and I thought that was a pretty cool feature that Fei Long added to the Sentinels, while mutants probably will not find it in any way, shape, form, or fashion fun or cool, and Tony Stark definitely doesn't find it funny or cool in this issue either. But I do find it interesting that Fei Long has pulled out all the stops to make Sentinels more deadly and dangerous, and even in a lot of cases more sneaky than they've ever been. Go back and watch the old X-Men animated series from the 90s. You could hear a Sentinel coming a mile away. In this issue, Tony Stark literally didn't know they were there until they fist bumped each other with him in the middle. This issue is setting up a lot of things. While we know that there's a lot of callback to the Armor Wars, because we saw earlier in this issue and even in previous issues that Fei Long is suing Tony Stark for using the Iron Man name and likeness, it's heavily implied Iron Man's gonna get a brand new armor. It's safe to say that the Mark Nil is gonna wind up becoming his armor going forward, at least for a little while. We do know over in Jed MacKay's Avengers, Tony is not wearing his normal red and gold Iron Man costume. He's wearing the Mark Nil, the black and gray, and we know that he is going to be becoming the Black King of the Hellfire Club, so that tracks. It looks like Tony's going black for the foreseeable future, except in regards to the woman he's marrying. But anyway, that's everything I want to talk about with Invincible Iron Man number 8. If you enjoyed this video, do the YouTube thing, like, share, comment, subscribe. I put up new videos multiple times throughout the week, plus live stream every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So make sure you tap that notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any of the videos that I put out. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, let me know what you thought about Invincible Iron Man number 8. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.